Good evening, muy buenas tardes a toda la audiencia de We Love Nogales. Estamos en otro programa de Familia y Salud. Muchas gracias por su tiempo, muchas gracias por estarnos viendo y siguiendo. Y hoy tengo el súper orgullo de tener unos invitados bien especiales aquí con nosotros. Y pues, what a great way to celebrate Read Across America, Dr. Seuss' birthday, then, having Joe with me and Charlie with me. Joe and Charlie, they're Santa Cruz County local writers, a writer and illustrator, and we're just celebrating reading all across America, and we're just celebrating the love of reading with amazing books that we have here, amazing writers, amazing authors, amazing illustrators. So thank you for your time. And Joe, it's such a pleasure to meet you finally in person.
Yeah.
I heard
You
a
too.
lot about you. Thank you. I heard a lot about you, about your books. And, I only have one children's book that I think I worked really hard for.
No,
it.
you worked very hard on it. It looks great. You did an incredible job.
Thank you. But getting to know you and getting to know all the collection of books that you have, and that we have you here on our county for you to lead us and guide us and show us what all your talent that you have. It's an honor for me to have you here today. And if you would like to share with us about all your book collections that you have. You even have a children's book. So
I do, yes.
please, share with us all about you.
Okay.
How did you start it? Who inspired you? And just go over. Thank you for being here.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. It is a huge honor to be on this show. I mean, we both have our shows here with We Love Nogales, and for us to finally, for those to cross over in this way is really, really cool. And thank you so much for inviting me. I really, really appreciate it. So, I mean, where should I start? Let's start with when I started writing when I was very little. Actually, right around his age, right around Charlie's age.
8 years old.
Yeah, 8 years old, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's how old I was when I started to enjoy writing and to explore writing. And I got it from my dad. My dad, he wasn't a writer, but he liked to write. And it's something that I kind of just really dedicated to. When somebody tells you do a good job at something, you like to do it more. And so it kind of just turned into who I am. I consider myself first and foremost a storyteller more than a writer. And obviously, I'm heavily inspired or heavily influenced by where I was born and raised, which is La Frontera. Hasta me decían, cuando yo estaba más en mis 20s, me decían el hijo de la frontera.
El gringo más mexicano.
Ahora el gringo más mexicano, ¿no? Y so that was a huge influence on me growing up, and it comes through in my writing. My first book, my father passed away in 2010. And after he passed away, I kind of was at this point where I needed to do something substantial. I was working at Home Depot at the time, I think. And I just needed to do something. And I'd already written a book. I'd written this book actually right here. Mm-hmm. I'd already written this book, and my dad had a chance to read it before he passed away.
He wrote that one. That one was one of your first books.
This was the first book.
Oh,
this was the very first book. And it published in March 2014. Mm-hmm. And it was a really surreal experience, right? It turned into a nightmare, just because of the publisher, not the writing process or anything like that. That's always a nightmare.
Yeah, yes, I know, yeah.
And I've always loved storytelling, and I wanted my stories to be out there. So I mean, I never stopped writing. So I decided to keep the ball rolling, even though I lost this publisher, and the publisher didn't even exist anymore. And so I started with this book, actually. And this book has actually been republished since this copy was released. And it's much more up to date, much better formatted, and it's through my brand, which is London Bridge Publishing Services. And I've just kept writing and publishing since then, and now I've got 8 books in 9 years I've published.
Wow, congratulations, because I know that's a big accomplishment. I'm sure you can speak for that. Yeah.
And there are long stretches where I'm unable to write anything, and then it comes, and I'll have a burst of books out.
Wow, yeah, wow.
And this is my most recent, which is In These Our Final Hours. And this one it's special because every story that's in that is a culmination of what we all felt and experienced during the pandemic, during the peak of the pandemic, the lockdowns and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And so naturally, it comes across as sort of a depressing book, but it's actually about finding hope in the darkest places.
And that's great, right, Joe? Because, a lot of people went through that on that time. Pandemic, it was over 2 years, lockdown, people, just afraid of doing things because the news, because what they were reading. But it was so amazing that you took that time to write and show people that it's okay to feel that way. It will be normal for a lot of people, and it's okay to write about it or talk about it and then find a way out of it.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's really what that book is about. Man, I lost my thought.
I am sorry.
No worries. But yeah, I mean, writing, it's more than just a passion for me. It's been my identity since I was pretty young, actually.
That's amazing, and thank you for teaching us all about your books. If you can also show us your children's books, because I think it's awesome. I was looking at it, and we're always, as teachers, I was a former teacher, and as teachers, we're always teaching our children, be unique and come up with your own thoughts. And if you want to write a pink elephant, it is okay. You can have a pink elephant. So I love, when I was looking into your book, that you have in the pages the ability for our children to express themselves.
Yeah, in any way they want. Yep.
Yep, single page. So if you want to take it away with that.
So this book was actually published in 2020, right when the pandemic started, like right at the beginning of the pandemic. Wow. And it was perfect timing it should have been perfect timing because it was an opportunity for kids who are stuck at home to express their creativity in ways that was at the time difficult to do. Mm-hmm. And it is a series, except this is the only book so far, and it's the Imagination Builders series.
Awesome.
And what it is there is story, but I encourage children to make themselves part of the story. Like here's the part that explains all that. It's welcome, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Welcome, reader. What you are holding in your hands isn't just any book. It's an imagination builder book. What makes this book special is that you get to help build the adventure. As you flip through the pages, you'll notice that many of them have empty boxes, but there aren't any pictures. That's because you get to draw them yourself. Some of these boxes have words next to them to help you know what to draw, but some of them don't. In these boxes, you get to draw whatever you think goes best with the story on the page. And that's really what it's about. For me, reading has always been seeing myself in the story, putting myself in the story. And this is a very literal way for children to be able to do that while telling the story themselves.
I'm sure Charlie would have been able to illustrate the whole book.
So,
Charlie, yeah.
and I'm a terrible artist, so I definitely would not have been good if I illustrated it.
Now we can work together, huh, Charlie? And you can be our illustrator, writer, publisher.
Perfect. There we go.
Can collaborate. Yeah. But thank you for sharing, Joe. And it's amazing to have you in our county, so we can also, take advantage of your knowledge. I hear you also have you manage your own publisher.
So it's not really a publisher. I call it a publishing service. And what I started it to do is to help anybody who's having trouble or just barely emerging into the publishing scene as a writer, to help them navigate that world. And if independent publishing is what they wanted to do, then I would help them independent publish. If they wanted to do mainstream publishing, then I would help them try to find an agent or a mainstream publisher. I haven't gone full ahead with it the way that I need to, but I do hope one day to use that brand to help independent or emerging authors really, really find a voice.
Thank you for that, because yes, we need it as a very new author too. I found, getting a little bit stuck in between, because, it's hard when you're just trying to find your way by yourself.
Of course.
So thank you for being here and for also having that availability. So I know we can find you on We Love Nogales on your program, El Gringo Más Mexicano, but what will be other contacts that maybe we can share later with We Love Nogales, or right now if you're ready for people to contact you?
Just find me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Joe Wright Wrights, and on Facebook it's just Joe Wright.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being
so
here
much.
with me, for making the time, and thank you for sharing the love of reading with all the different books that you have, a big variety. Very cool, and looking forward to read your Unlucky 7 and your newest release, and congratulations for all you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Mr. Charlie, the newest author in Santa Cruz County, the youngest. We're super proud of you. We are very proud of what you're doing, Charlie. Do you want to take some time to just show us your book to the audience? It's amazing what you did at 8 years old. Charlie, what school are you at?
Coronado Elementary.
Wow, good job, and congratulations for this accomplishment. So do you want to share who inspired you to write your book? Do you travel to Mexico a lot? Like, how did this idea of writing and illustrating your own book and publishing your own book came out?
I can hold it up for you.
¿Cómo se te ocurrió escribir un libro, ilustrarlo y ponerlo afuera a la venta? Eres todo un hombre de negocios. ¿Cómo se te ocurrió todo?
When I was in second grade, I had this teacher named Miss El Cruz, and then this other teacher came in, and then she told us, do you want to make a story with the whole class, or do you want to do it by yourself? And raise your hand if you want to do it with the whole class. And then the whole class raised their hand except for me. And so she asked, and who wants to make it by themselves? And I was the only one that raised my hand.
I love it. And then what happened?
And so she went, and so the teacher the same teacher, she gave me a piece of paper, and then I wrote it, and then once I was done, I said I was done, and then she gave it to Miss El Cruz, and then she read it out to the whole class. And then she went to the 4th grade to show it to all the 4th grade teachers. And then a few days later, when she gave it back, I showed my mom, and then my mom came up with the idea to make it into a real book.
Nice, very cool. And then you started the illustration process.
Yeah.
Nice, Charlie. That's amazing, and what an amazing support from mom. Mom, it's right here on the studio of We Love Nogales, and she's just listening. But what a great support from mom, right? Like to keep you inspired and moving with your book. So, what happened after you finished the illustration? How did you? How were you able to put it outside for everyone to be able to buy it?
No, that is tricky.
And that was tricky. You had to explore, right? It's what we were talking, Joe and I. Then you have to go on your own, look for the internet, the ideas, the sizes, the colors, right? The printings.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you had the book on your hands?
Yeah, I felt proud of myself.
Oh, you should be. I'm super proud and excited for you and for your future. You, at you're 8 years old, and you already have your very first book. So, yeah, continue writing, continue illustrating, because that's such a big accomplishment and amazing thing what you did. And congratulations, Charlie. That's very amazing. And what a cool community that you had around. I know I saw you on the public Nogales library, right? You were just reading to the children. When was it? Last week?
I think so.
I think so, yeah, last week. And, we're very proud of it. I cannot wait for my copy. I brought my pen so you can sign my book. And I would like to get a couple of them for, have you heard about the Santa Cruzer Mobile Library that it's going around the county?
I don't think so.
No, have you, Joe?
I've heard about it. I don't know all the details.
Yeah, so Superintendent's office, Alfredo Velasquez, has a mobile library around the county, and I would like to have your book and Joe's books inside the library for, people to go, read it, get inspirations from both of you, and then maybe you can help other children to teach them how to become an illustrator or a writer, right? And then Joe can help him with everything else, publishing, writing, and right?
Yeah.
That will be amazing to have more, more writers, more illustrators in our county. So, yeah, so thank you, Charlie, for your time. Is there anything that you would like to share about your book, or are you gonna go read somewhere else? Will you be visiting a library? Anything that you would like to share with us?
No, I don't think so.
That's it. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for writing a book, and congratulations in all of your accomplishments, and keep it up. Keep writing and keep illustrating. Thank you. Joe, is there any, other than we watch you every week and El Gringo Más Mexicano from We Love Nogales, are you doing some readings outside or presentations that you want to share?
So I haven't. I actually haven't done a public event with my book since 2019.
Uh-huh.
I went to the last major event that I had with my book was in Texas, and that was in November of 2019. And then again, the pandemic happened, and pues parte se me fueron las ganas.
Sí, todo, sí, un ratito, sí.
And I mean, this last book, I decided not to market it really in any way, which is interesting that it's done so well. But because it was a reflection of such a dark time, and I just wanted to publish it. And I mean, luckily, it's actually done pretty well. But with the next book that I'm going to have coming out, which hopefully by the end of the year, I do plan on doing some book toury stuff and doing signings, things like that.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And yeah, let us know. We cannot wait to see you outside too, advertising your books. I know they're easy to find also on the libraries, on Amazon and other
Yes,
stores.
so lots of bookstores. I know that there are there are a few bookstores in Tucson that carry them. If you're not local, or not in Arizona, there are bookstores in Utah, California, and Nevada. But I think like maybe 28 of the 50 states there are bookstores that have copies of my books.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
And actually, interestingly enough, for whatever reason, the Unlucky Seven books, which are horror stories, they're scary.
Yes.
They do really, really well in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Awesome. Yeah.
It just took off really, really, really well there.
Wow. Yeah. And thank you again for, writing and for the inspiration. I know you're an inspiration for many of, adult writers and adolescents. They, want to also create their own book, their own stories, their own horror stories, or also, their own stories about the pandemic. How did it go? How, and how they came out of any of those stations,
I didn't get a chance to talk about this book really quick now that you mentioned it,
Sure.
because not everything I write is scary or depressing. So this book is actually a young adult book, and it's about, really what it's about is finding your place in a world you don't belong. But it's about a young man who ends up in a different dimension and is blessed. I don't know if you could say blessed, but he has powers now. And it's kind of, like I said, everybody wants him for something, but it's about finding yourself, finding your place in a world where you feel like you don't belong. Mm-hmm. And the second one for this one should be coming out next year, actually.
Awesome. Wow. Yeah. So you're being super busy writing. That's why
I'm
you haven't been
trying for sure. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing again. Have you guys been to the Tucson Festival of Books? Have you been there, Charlie? It's so the Tucson Festival of Books. It's at the University of Arizona in Tucson, and they have this big tents with authors all over, Joe? And they're gonna be presenting next weekend. Have you been there, Charlie?
No, I don't.
No?
I haven't.
Well, next weekend in Tucson at the U of A, we'll have the Tucson Festival of Books. You can go meet a lot of authors from Arizona, from other states. I got to talk to a couple of them, and they're from out of state. Some of them come like from Wisconsin, Nevada. I know they're coming from many other states, but you can go meet them, talk to them, talk about the books that they're writing, their new releases, and buy their books. So I will be presenting there at the book festival on Saturday and Sunday. I will be there for both days, sharing my children's book, If I Eat My Fruits and Vegetables. I did it in English and Spanish, and I'm very excited because it's my first time being there as an author. I've been in, I think, every book festival since I was maybe, well, I'm not gonna say my age, but since 15 years back. And as a teacher, I will go and buy the books there for my class. But now I'm super inspired because I'm going to be there as an author for my first time. And I get to share, attend with other Southern Arizona authors. And it will be showing on our screen the different authors that I will be sharing the space. They have children's book, they have mystery, they have drama. And it's just pretty amazing, just to get to know all these authors all over the United States and get to know them, exchange information, and collaborate. One thing I do know about authors, I've seen they do support each other. It's such a big community, but such a nice community too. Like when I knew about Charlie, I was like, oh my gosh, I want his book. I'm super proud of him. He's from here. He's from Santa Cruz County, and I want to have your book to share with my kids. When I knew about yours, it's been a long time, Joe, when I knew about your Unlucky 7 books. And I was like, how do you do it? How can you write, all these books? And it's just amazing, the collaboration when you share like, oh, I'm a new author. I think the experienced authors, they just want to help out. Don't you think?
Lots of times for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, first, real quick, I want to say that I'm impressed and inspired by both of you because especially the printing your books bilingual in one, not just English and then one in Spanish, but in English and Spanish in the same book is such an important thing for not only for our culture here in Las Fronteras, no, but across the entire nation. It's very cool that you guys both did that. And I do want to say that I think probably both of you can agree that one of the most incredible feelings in the world is when you get that box in the mail and you open it up and your book is in there, your published bound book, and it's professional and it's real and you can hold it, and that's just such an incredible feeling.
Yes, I agree.
And I wanted to actually talk to you about your book. I wanted to hear more about your book. I mean, I don't know if we have time, but I guess I just wanted to say that thank you for both of you guys for doing this and for having me on.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Charlie. And yes, thank you so much, Joe, because yes, it's very inspiring, to get to know other authors, and then you share the information, and then they share information back, and then you just become a big community / family / like we live closer, let's get together, let's think about what we can do together, and thank you for mentioning it. I started with the idea of having a bilingual book because I grew up in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. I went to Cobach en la preparatoria y yo nomás sabía español, yo no sabía nada más de inglés. De hecho, los exámenes de inglés sufría. Pero eventualmente me tuve que venir a estudiar a los Estados Unidos porque pues era donde nací. Entonces, para estudiar tuve que empezar todo inglés, aprenderlo, aprender reading, aprender writing y aprender las clases de educación. Terminé la universidad en la Universidad de Arizona Global, que es online. Pero me costó tanto trabajo porque fui yendo poco a poquito y cuando decidí escribir un libro de niños, he sido maestra de early childhood for 14 years. I was a teacher. And I was thinking, my book has to be bilingual because I want children to be able to see the words together so they can start the comprehension and the connection. That way they don't have a shock when people start talking to them just in English or just in Spanish. And sometimes there were parents that we have this mini library for children to take books home every day. And I was able to see parents americanos que veían el libro y el niño agarraba el libro en español y decía, no, honey, I'm sorry, I cannot read in Spanish. That's not my language. And the kid will go just kind of a little bit sad, but they will go and grab, their English book. And I'm like, I have to put it there. That way they don't have to struggle for that. Like if they like the book, they can read it in any language. And I also thought about making it interactive for them to also, not just read it once, put it away and forget about it. Yeah. And I was able to, have pages by itself for children to write healthy recipes. And if they were not in the writing stage yet, to draw, to be able just to draw. And my inspiration were my grandparents. Yo crecí con mis abuelos en Nogales, Sonora, en su casa, y mi nana siempre cosechaba de frutas y verduras en su mismo patio. Entonces, pensando, ¿qué mensaje les puedo dar a los niños? Es comer saludable. Si comes saludable, agarras tus vitaminas, tus huesos están fuertes, tu mente está fuerte. Entonces dije, bueno, voy a escribir un libro que sea saludable para los niños, que puedan tener recetas saludables, y pues así llegué a If I Eat My Fruits and Vegetables.
I think it's such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful book because not only is it educational, que es muy importante, ¿no? Sí. But it's also a reflection of of your history, of you personally, of your family, and having your grandparents. And that last picture at the end, it makes you want to tear up almost.
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, Joe, the process en Charlie también pienso que tú sabes, ¿no? Cuando lo pusimos el libro en Amazon por primera vez, sé que tu libro va a viajar por todo el mundo porque Amazon, pues, it's worldwide. Entonces, también it was the same thing, I was like, well, she was sharing with my illustrator, Esther. She's from Hermosillo. Saludos, Esther, si me estás viendo, y abrazos. Pero I was sharing with Esther, my book is going to be in the UK, in Canada, all over the United States, in Mexico. So I want to have my roots representing. Le digo, quiero calabacitas, quiero frijoles, quiero sopa de fideos, quiero enchiladas y quiero una jarra de horchata. Y me decía, ¿estás segura? Y le digo, sí, vamos a representar. Y dice, ¿qué si no las conocen? Entonces ella me dice, ¿sabes qué? Tengo una idea. Si no las conocen, let's put it in the last pages y explicar qué tipos de comidas mexicanas son. Pero nos orgulleció mucho también poder enseñar nuestras raíces mexicanas y poder representar a todos nuestros latinos y mexicanos afuera y enseñando a los niños a comer saludable también. Pero muchas gracias por preguntarme sobre mi libro y voy a estar en el Tucson Festival of Books compartiendo con otros autores. Si gustan pasar por ahí, 10117, vayan y visítenme. Y me encantó recibirlos, me encantó tenerlos aquí y ojalá que nos veamos pronto otra vez colaborando, compartiendo, leyendo y saliendo afuera a enseñar nuestros libros. Muchas gracias. Gracias, Charlie, por estar aquí. Gracias, Joe. Gracias a toda la audiencia de We Love Nogales y nos despedimos todos juntos compartiendo nuestro Love of Reading y ojalá que puedan ver nuestros libros y mandar sus comentarios y algún autor que ande por ahí o ilustrador se acerca con Joe y él les va a enseñar todo acerca de cómo crear un libro en lo que yo pueda ayudar. Bienvenidos y Charlie también, ¿verdad? A inspirar niños. Muchas gracias por estar aquí.
Thank
y
you so
buenas
much.
noches, con permiso.